here we have the Hypno Hustler. I wanted to get a shot of him and talk about how I kind of went about making him before I end up painting them all up and finishing them. Because right now, I did a couple days worth of sanding, got all the sculpting done, and now I just need to wash them. So I'm gonna wash them and then it's on to painting them. So here is one of the accessories that will be painted. The guitar, of course, from one of the Kiss figures. So right away you can tell that the hands I got here are from Spider-Punk, and I tried my best to make all the joints white as much as I could, but these are red, so let's hope that I sanded it enough. We'll see. So I'll continue on with the hands. I made another pair of hands. Let's set him down for a second. And I saw a brief picture where he had 2 4-fingered rings and it said Super Funk. Super has S-U-P, yeah, 5 letters, so I didn't want to go so small to make 5 letters on the hand, so I came up with Funk City. So he's got 2 fists that he'll have 2 4-finger rings. Funk City. Hopefully that comes out really nice. Sculpted those out of Worbla. Then this one, I just kind of sanded it down with the Dremel. Hopefully that's enough. This one I actually cut out, sanded down, and then patched back up with some epoxy sculpt. This one's a little looser than this, so hopefully this one works, because if it does, I'll do it like, I'll just, you know, go like this, sand it down, move it over to the other side, sand it down as much as possible, as long as that gap, I believe that's all I'm really looking for, is that gap to be there for when I paint. I just found a pair of random gripping hands. So you can have gripping hands. He's gonna have the 4-finger ring fist hands, so you can maybe punch. And of course he's got the guitar playing hands. So these feet are from the arcade figure, because he has stacks on, and this is the 70s, where everybody wore stacks. Now we have our little helper groups, and one of the cool guys in there was like, hey man, you should see if those will work. And when I got them in, they kind of worked, but these ankles were huge, so I really had to Dremel down the ankles so it could look halfway decent. Hopefully when it's all painted up it blends well. I mean, it looks alright. It looks alright like that. And one of the cool things about this guy is his boots. Up here I used Worbla for the top of the boot. I don't know why. I probably should have just used AV's epoxy sculpt as well. Sculpted on a design that I saw in many pages of the comic book he came out of, which is this one. And so I sculpted that design on there, and then the strip in the front. And one of the cool things his boots can do, emit knockout gas on command. It's set up so if his foot's on the ground, all you're gonna have to do is put it next to his boot and it'll look like it's emitting. So he's gonna come with 2 sizes, both for the left and the right. So you get a big one coming out of here, small one coming out of here, big one coming out of both. Put them in a nice stance. They are meant to sit on the ground though, and they will not be attached in any way to the shoes. But it's a awesome, to me it's a pretty awesome accessory, and I'm gonna paint these up like with a green smoky type look for those bad boys. That's one of the powers he has with his shoes. The other power he has, and I got a second pair of those shoes, and he has daggers that shoot out from the bottom. And these are real and they're pretty sharp. So this is an adult collectible. So I drilled out 4 holes in here, and then I vice gripped, snapped in half some metal Wolverine claws that I had. So he's gonna have 2 shoes that you could switch out that have daggers in them coming out of them. So I got them both here. And they are pretty sharp and they are real steel. And the shoes, as far as I'm concerned, kind of pop out pretty easy. It's not like you have to take a blowtorch to them to heat them up and, you know, switch out the shoes all the time. Give it a nice firm tug and it should come off, at least in my experience. And this is just another cool accessory of what powers his boots have. So his boots can have the retractable, I mean, they're not retractable, but they are if you go, hey, look, I don't have any, he does. But they're gonna be glued in permanent. That's why I had to get a second pair. Otherwise, I probably I could have just drilled 4 holes in here and then put these in a baggie. I could have did that, and then he could stick them in whenever he wanted to. But I thought this was just easier. It's just easier and it's cooler, and it's another made accessory instead of just having the little tiny pieces of shards of metal in a baggie. So on up to the legs. The legs are Cosmic Spider-Man. The other half of him is, I don't know where he is anymore. But in the helper groups, because the main body was Lightning Collection Power Ranger, here's his bottom half, because I got 2 of the figures just in case. So he's a little shorter. Nice guys in the helper group was like, you know, he's probably going to be too short if you use the whole figure. And I was like, yeah, you're right. So I had to Dremel right here a lot to make it look as seamless as I can between the Lightning Collection and the Marvel Legend. So this is Lightning Collection from this on up, and from here to the ankle is the Cosmic Spider-Man pants. And then I sculpted around the holes. We'll see how that looks after I paint it. Then I sanded like crazy. And here's the belt. Here's his cool looking belt that he has. Tried to make it as accurate as possible. I started off with Worbla. And so I drew out the schematics on a piece of paper, and then I transferred that shape onto the Worbla and cut that out. Made it look like a real belt. I don't think it looks like that way in the comics, but I think that looks cool. It looks like a World Wrestling Federation Championship belt or something. I thought that would be cool. And I knew once I put that on that I was going to get rid of any articulation when it comes to bending down forward. That's why I wanted to use the Lightning Collection, because that has that swivel up here. So you could still go forward and you could still go backwards a little bit. And it's cool. You got the side to side though, which is really cool. You can go really far side to side. And the rest is done with epoxy sculpt and sanded. Then on to the top. This actual figure has black armpits. He had black plastic armpits. See? And now if I'm gonna paint that all white, that's gonna be hard to get the innards and all that. I did a practice round and that's what it looked like. So the white's not coming off the front as much, but on the inside you can still see that it's black. So I ordered another Lightning Collection figure that actually had the white. So I used his butterfly joints and his disc, shoulder disc, and then put this guy's arm back onto that and glued it together. Now the gloves are Captain America. And then I sculpted his little microphone piece here And then for these, I didn't want it to get in the way of the butterfly joints. So I made a piece of styrene. I cut a piece of styrene and glued it down as kind of the skeleton for it, as you can see. And then I sculpted on top of that. And then sanded. And the head, this is a blade head. So he had sharp teeth that I sanded away. He already had a pair of sunglasses, but I sculpted these funky goggles on him over those glasses. And hopefully the paint job will come out good. Sculpted these earmuffs and then sculpted the hair. I used a multitude of sizes of ballpoints at the end, from nothing to this one and a couple more bigger ones, bigger. And I just randomly did a whole bunch of different sizes to get the texture on the head. Here is the closed mouth head. So that's a straight up Wesley Snipes head. And I just sculpted over the glasses. It's almost like a semi-modern look to him, but it's a cool look, like, yeah. Instead of the, you know, screaming look. It's a pretty cool look. Now this head was the first one I did. This is the first time I attempted the afro. This head is going to be based on what he looked like in Spider-Man Reign comic, where he was an old man. So this one's he's gonna have like gray hair. He's gonna have a gray afro. And instead of goggles in that comic, he just had like white painted mask over the eyes. And this guy will have a white cape, so this can just tack behind his head. And this is something cool that I got from Can of Beans, and it'll match up perfectly, just perfect. And that's it. That's my Hypno Hustler, baby. Before I paint him up, hopefully he comes out good. I think I'm trying to make the Ultimate Edition with basically two different versions of him and 3 very different head sculpts. So it's not a variation on one, they're all very different. And if you pop on the old guy head with the cape, you can pretty much get a whole nother figure, as opposed to the one that showed up in the 1978 or 77 comic. All his powers are accounted for. Next video, you will see a completed version of the Hypno Hustler.